Hello and welcome to the pilot episode of the Not Another Sports podcast. Welcome all. Yes, I know it's a very ironic name, but it's just one of those things, unfortunately. But let's get into some of the big news surrounding the NRL. The first one to have happened is a very big one in resulting of my team, the Newcastle Knights, as Mitchell Pearce has officially requested to leave the club. This has come under speculation that there is a potential replacement, Mitchell Pearce being for the Catalan Dragons, for next season for 3 years because of James Maloney potentially retiring at the end of last season. Of course, Catalan Dragons having a very good season, became minor premiers, got their way to their first Super League Grand Final, only losing to St Helens. But the deal is apparently worth, it's a 3-year deal worth around $1.5 to $2 million, which is a sizable amount of money to go over to England. With that, in considering, what do the Knights do? So the Knights haven't said anything about it. They haven't said if the Knights are going to leave, the Knights are going to let him go or they're going to try to keep him. We don't know. But there are already talks about who could potentially replace Mitchell Pearce at the Knights. One of the big things in talking about was Adam Clune, who we've already signed from the St George Dragons, being a replacement. But two new players have come into the fray. Drinkwater from the North Queensland Cowboys, because fuck me, have we not taken enough from them over the years. And interestingly, Corey Norman is apparently the front runner to replace Mitchell Pearce at the Knights, if of course Mitchell Pearce does go. Now, the thing I've got to say about, personally as a Knights fan, Mitchell Pearce is a fantastic player, a definite leader. Like, when he's not at the team, like not playing, we are lost. It's like we rely everything on Pong. It's like, go and charge. But the thing with Mitchell Pearce as well is when he's been at the Knights, he hasn't had like a full season. He's had some kind of injury. So I think he's starting to get to the point where he's thinking about he doesn't want to go to a league which is as rough as the NRL and their schedule. So I think this probably is the right mindset for him. But it would be hard to say because the Knights not having that much of a leadership without Mitchell Pearce. It mostly just leaves us begging to see if we're even going to make the finals. But Scott Drinkwater is a very underrated halfback when it does come to the NRL. I know the Cowboys didn't have that great of a season last year, but I think it should be pretty good sign. Corey Norman as well. The Dragons, they're starting to get traction. I know they've been a bit on and off, but that's been like their story for the last couple of years. But Corey Norman does go alright. The Dragons seem to be losing a fair amount of players. I mean, you had Dufty leaving, and Dufty was probably arguably like their best player for a period of the season. So, yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what actually does happen. But nonetheless, it should be interesting to see. When Adam Clune's signing was announced, I had a feeling it's like they're going to replace Pearce. And I had a feeling that if Pearce suffered, if he did play next season for the Knights and he suffered another big injury, he probably would have to call it quits with the Knights. Not even just with the Knights, but probably his career. So I think the Knights already signing Clune. I think it's pretty certain that it looks like they are going to replace Pearce. It is a bit upsetting. Mitchell Pearce has been a great player for the Knights. Basically, he kicked us dragging and screaming into last season's finals. But yeah, I think it's very interesting. It's going to be a testing time for Newcastle because at the moment we have got, on paper, we have a team that could definitely make the top 8. But it's just we need like something like a leadership, like a Harrigan. And I know we don't like to bang on about 97 and all that, but you know what I mean, pretty much. But yeah, what do you guys think about this situation? Let me know in the comments below. Next thing coming up is, and this is a pretty interesting turn of events, there has been talks about since, obviously, the Redcliffe Dolphins coming in as the 17th team into the NRL, that they were going to add another team in right at the same time in 2023. And one step up has come up as a confirmation that they are going for this 18th team bid. It's the North Sydney Bears. There is a potential that North Sydney could come back to the NRL. Now, of course, we don't need to explain about how North Sydney is probably one of the most well-known teams that have been released from the NRL. They can get released. They basically merged with Manly to become the Northern Eagles, which, goddamn, was that a cursed time to be an Eagles fan. But obviously, North Sydney have come back over the last couple of years as a team in the New South Wales Cup. I think they're a feeder team for Manly. I'm not too sure. I'll probably have a correction to that, but I think it's a very good thing to happen for North Sydney. If they do get back in, that'd be fantastic. I do hope that they could play at the North Sydney Oval for their home games and not fucking ANZ like half the teams in Sydney, because I've already voiced this in my opinion on the channel, but I don't like ANZ being a home stadium for teams in the regular season. It's like, that's where the grand final happens. It's meant to be like, you know, a special venue. And not just, oh, they're there every week. It's like, it's kind of like if like Wembley Stadium in England had Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, and West Ham playing there, all their home games there. It's just, it lessens the value of the stadium, in my personal opinion, for the big events, because of course ANZ hosts the State of Origin and the grand final. So I think it's kind of like, I know they kind of have to because the smaller grounds don't have like security measures, because I know like Belmore, that's a bit of a situation, and like tribalism and fun, but that's what makes the sport good. It's something that it's been very much missing in the NRL, is the absolute talk about just tribalism and like keeping fans separate and like, you know, intensity. Kind of like soccer, but hopefully none of the hooliganism action. But yeah, so with North Sydney, I would like to see him go in. I know there was talks about them wanting to put in another Queensland team, which I think is pretty stupid at this point. Like, where are they going to put one? Like, Toowoomba? Or whatever. I know, like, Ipswich was a big one, but it's very much hard to say. But I do think the Bears, I think the Bears should come back. I think it'd be a great thing for the NRL. And I know people go like, oh, it's another Sydney team, but it's like, they're like, literally, how many times have you gone into Sydney and you've seen like a bunch of people with North Sydney Bears jerseys? Like, you see them all the time. It's like their fans are diehard and they want the team back. And in all personally, it's like, I would really like to see North Sydney come back. I think it'd just be a great thing to see. Now, Parramatta. Let's move on to the Parramatta Eels. They could be in a bit of potential strife with their off-contract players. So, there is a bunch of players from each different teams that are going to be coming off-contract by 2022. But with Parramatta, most of the players going off theirs are all of their star players. Here's a list of just 6 of them. There's 7, I believe, is the number. But here's 6 of them. Clint Gutherson, Reid Mahoney, Junior Paulo, Ryan Madison, Isaiah Papali'i, and Murata Niokore. That's pretty much like most of their premiership contender team. Like, that is quite severe. And there's a deadline of November 1st, so basically people are saying, oh, sign for us as of 2023 and all that stuff. But yeah, as Parramatta, I try to sign most of them back. Gutherson's amazing, Paulo and Papali'i and Madison even are very good strong points in their forward pack. Yeah, at least try to go sign for most of them, because if they don't, there could be a potential situation where they could just get everything that they've been building up to just stripped to them. And also, you got to also add to the fact, what's his body's name? Blake Ferguson was also left. He left. So he won't be a part of the 2022 season because he's gone to play rugby up in Japan. So, yeah, very interesting there for Parramatta. I personally, if I was a Parramatta fan, I would try to, power through that shit, actually try to dead ass get into it. Now we're going to move on to a different sport. Actually, we're going to move to the A-League. Of course, the A-League about to start in less than a month's time. Very exciting times. But a very positive news moment has happened with the A-League as an Adelaide United player by the name of Josh Cavallo, I believe is his name. I just need to confirm. We're live. We're doing this live. I think it's Josh Cavallo. Just want to confirm this. Of the... Just, for God's sake. It's Josh Cavallo. So Josh Cavallo in the Hyundai A-League. He's a player for he plays for Adelaide United in the A-League. And yesterday he officially came out as gay. And I believe he's the first A-League player who is currently playing to come out as gay. Which is it's fantastic for him to see. It takes a lot of strength, especially in all honesty, that Australian sport has got a bit of a sketchy history when it comes to homophobia. I mean, we still have quite a substantial problem with racism. Like, I know it's a bit of a hot button subject, of course, talking about race and sex in this country, but yeah, no, my mum said there was a Manly player that came out as gay back in the 90s. I'm trying to confirm that. Or something like that. Ian Roberts was the player. There it is. Played in the 80s and 90s. Was he a Manly player? Just want to confirm this. Did he play for Manly? He did, yeah, 1990 to 1995. In 95, Roberts became the first high-profile Australian sports person and first rugby footballer in the world to come out as public as gay. So now, with this, and it's fantastic to see something like this happening. Of course, being comfortable with themselves. We had a couple of months back, we had a NFL player who plays for the Las Vegas Raiders come out as gay as well. I know in women's football or soccer, whatever you want to call it, a fair amount of them are lesbian, which is fantastic in its own right. But it's quite rare for a of course, being with in case of Josh being the first current A-League player to come out as gay. He's not I know there was one that used to play for the Jets came out as gay, but I think it was after he retired or after he left the A-League, which is a very big bit of a big situation, but with the recency of these movements and all that, it's like, of course there are still very much issues with homophobia in Australian sport. I mean, in NRL, in AFL, even in the A-League, in soccer. Like, there was, I remember specifically, there'd be chants about when a referee would make a stupid decision, they'd say he's gay, he's bent. And I have heard the F word relating to homophobia being said a few times. I'm not saying that, all Australian sports fans are all homophobic or racist. I'm not saying that, but it's still... And most of all the reaction's been mostly positive. A few people have gone saying what's the point, who cares, kind of thing like that. Which, in kind of this point, it's kind of the attitude of that's the reason why him coming out as gay is quite a big deal. Because it's like, obviously, at some point in the future, it hopefully, in this country, it will become normalised and won't become, a big deal. It's just, fair enough. But still, to be the first one in this sport, and this could help motivate people, not even just in the A-League, but even, in the MPL system or even the developments to come out as gay. And people said, it doesn't change who you are. You just, as long as you put the ball in the back of the net and put it top bins, that's, I think, everything that everyone's going to be talking about. But yeah, that is a very big news there from the A-League. Of course, I also need to talk about, in terms of the A-League, while we're on it, There's actually something weird going on with the Australian football with the A-League. There's something that is happening which has not happened for a while for the preseason. It's called hype. There's actual dead set hype for this season. I'm actually pumped. The amount of teams that you can now make several cases for several teams about them winning the league. The FFA is out, so there's more chance for active support. You can get the RBB, the North Terrace, the Cove, all of them to come back to their big success. You got the Jets and the Mariners. The Jets have signed fucking everybody. And we could see for the first time the F3 derby where both teams are actually quite good. It's something that I'm very, very much excited to see. And I'm going to talk about a lot of this on the ZTake99 channel. Oh, by the way, I will say, I need to say this for this podcast thing, that pretty much the first 5 episodes that we do of this, I know this is a little bit of a shorter one. The first 5 will be posting on the Not Another Sports Podcast official channel. The link is, I'll put it in the description, and also it's in the channel banner. If it's the YouTube logo and it's my other channel, of my podcast channel, I think, or whatever it's called, but that's where it is. And then you've got, basically the first 5 episodes go on both channels, then I'll probably just putting up clips and sections from the podcast on the other end. I'm hoping to get a few people on here if I get a better sound, because literally it's just a camera there, mic and Audacity. So if we do sort up, we could probably get some interviews with people, get co-hosts, because I know it's very weird to have an hour and a half long podcast where it's just one person, so you don't have anybody else to bounce back on and stuff like that. So yeah, so this is just we'll call this the pilot episode for the Not Australian Sports Podcast. So yeah, thank you all very much choosing for watching, and let's see you around for the episode 2 if you did like it. Well, actually, one thing before. If there's any topic around sports that you want me to ask me, or if I get another person on to discuss on the channel, put in the comments below and we'll get to it. Put some questions in. We can stretch this out to longer than 15 minutes. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and see you later.